Welcome to the mobile home movement, where we showcase the beauty and affordability of mobile homes. Here we break false myths and share all the positive stories of how mobile home ownership transforms lives. I'm Franco Perez, and this is the mobile home movement. What's up, guys, and welcome to Mobile Home Movement. This is a show where mobile home residents support mobile home residents, and it's really all about talking about the beautiful impact that mobile home communities create for people. Today we have a special guest. We have actually one of our first ever clients of our business who lives in a mobile home community now and actually was able to start her own business, which is actually, we'll let her talk about it more, but it's a restaurant that's in San Jose, and really excited to dive into this and talk about lifestyle in mobile homes, and really excited for this. So thanks for being here, Kim.
You're welcome, Franco.
So happy to have you here. I kind of want to dive right into it. Tell me a bit about kind of your story and, what was life like before? What got you into thinking about living in a mobile home park? And what's it like living in a mobile home park?
Okay, so hello, guys. My name is Kimberlin, and I'm 29 years old. I met Franco about, I want to say, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I met him searching mobile homes. So I lived with my parents, and I really needed to get out.
Uh-huh.
And one of my options was mobile homes, because I thought, well, if I sell it, in the future, it's a good investment. And so on. And I wanted to have this space because at that time I had a dog named Charlie. So that was a perfect space for me and my kid and my dog. So
Yeah.
mobile home as it was.
I remember, I didn't even know is Charlie no longer around?
Charlie's no longer
Oh,
around.
man. But, that's, what do you call it? That's a good thing to bring up, because one is, homes often, and it's very common for people to outgrow their home, and it gets crowded, right? And you're a growing individual as well, and you want your own space. And that became a perfect scenario of where you basically chose going into a mobile home to have space for your dog and yourself, and you have your own personal space, right? And tell me, what was the process like? Was it scary finding a home? What was it like navigating that?
It wasn't really scary. I think that, when you're going to go for something, you just go for it. And at that time, funds weren't as great. And I just wanted a fixer-upper. So when I found that mobile home, I remember speaking to you that day, right when you had the showing, and I told you, please let the guy know that, we'll pay in cash and we can negotiate that. So it was pretty simple. I think when you want something, just go for it.
Yeah. Tell me a bit more, because I think it's important that people understand, I really want to go into kind of, how did you save up for this amount? Because you probably weren't making a ton of money at that time, but what got you to be able to save that amount of funds? Because we really want to help people understand, the grind and what got you into being able to afford that home.
Well, my background has always been sales, so I was always a salesperson. Of course, I had, a little bit of money saved up, but I had a friend also that helped me. So he was the one that, lent me the money, and then I paid back within 2 years. So it was awesome of him,
Gotcha. And then once you found the place, what was the home like? I remember it wasn't a pretty home. It was actually a very horrible quality home, actually.
Yeah.
Now I think of it. And this is part of the beauty of why I love having you on this show, is because, sometimes these homes are kind of very dilapidated. They are older looking, but guess what? This is the start of someone's dream and an opportunity for someone to own something. And hopefully I can pull up photos of it before. But tell me about kind of what was the home like, and why it was important to you to get this home.
So like Franco said, guys, this home was horrible. I mean, horrible. It was outdated. It's just yellow walls but I looked beyond
yellow
that.
and dark spots,
Yes.
and you're making it sound easy. The roof was kind of caving in. The flooring was stinky, and almost everything was wrong with it.
I think there were some homeless living there. In the past,
there was an issue of me taking someone out of there that was squatting, which did happen. Yeah. So almost everything was wrong with it. So tell me why that was still important for you. Why is this something that you wanted?
Again, coming back to the space, right? At that time, I was married, and luckily the partner that I had knew a lot about construction, so I was like, we'll just fix it. And so we did. He actually, removed that stinky floor carpeting and put in some flooring. He did the roof as well. So it was a lot of things that he did. We focused on the important parts first, like the big ones, right? Rather than paint and stuff, we went for the flooring and the roof, which is priority. So that's what we did.
Yeah. And if I can add too, Kim or both of you are very resourceful and kind of saw the opportunity here, right? You saw something that might look ugly to most, but you guys knew what you guys were capable of. You guys didn't have a lot of money, right? But you knew that you literally told me, like, with sweat equity and something, you wanted a fixture, you wanted to take your time on kind of making it something of your own, because you didn't have, you didn't want to qualify for a loan, you didn't want to make a big purchase, because at that time, everything else price point wise was like $50,000 or $100,000 more. But this one was another seller that was in, to put it simply, they were of old age. They moved to an older care home thing, and they didn't have the money to fix it. But that then became an as-is purchase on your end, which you were able to turn into an opportunity for you to get it at a discount and fix it up yourself, right? Awesome. So talk about the space a bit, because what you saw is something that's, the bones of the situation. How many bedrooms was it, square footage wise? And then, especially for the dog, the yard, right? What's the space of this home?
I believe it was like close to 100 square feet, I think.
Yeah,
or probably less, between 1,000 to 1,100.
Yeah, technically it's like under 1,000, but you have a pop out that's not qualified square footage, but it's still an interior square footage for you guys. And you have, if I remember it correctly, you have a big yard in the left side that's fenced off with a tree in there still too.
Yeah.
Right. So, what was it like kind of after you got it? What did you fix first? Did you move in right away, or what was that like?
No, so we didn't move in right away. We first focused on the flooring and paint, So flooring and paint was the priority, and the roof. So that's what we did first. And then we moved in, the other things were just going to come as time went by.
Yeah.
But the fence had been put up, one of the first things, because of Charlie. So we had to keep him safe in the backyard.
Oh, cool. So it's part of the beauty of, we can have a whole conversation on how pets, how it's a great place for pets too, compared to living in apartments and that sort of thing as well. Do you feel like your Charlie loves the mobile home compared to being in the cramped home situation before? Or?
Well, for Charlie, it was probably was a big change. I mean, in my mom's home, he had other dogs to play with. My mom has a big yard. But I felt more of my family coming together, when I moved in, having our own space, me and my ex-husband and my son, So it was beautiful. Yeah.
And do you feel like residents and their dogs are, that park's very pet friendly, I feel like, right?
Very pet friendly, yes.
Yeah. So you often see people walking their dog in that park, and they often play in that big green circle in the middle.
Yes, we have a basketball court, so it's awesome. Yeah.
There's multiple parks and multiple amenities in that. Actually, this park has 3 swimming pools, 3 clubhouses, and it's quite a nice place.
Yeah.
How would you describe the community in in that park? Like, do the neighbors get along? How would you describe the neighborhood and the neighbors?
Well, my neighbors were very welcoming. They're more on the older side. I do have one neighbor that's like 3 houses down that she's my age, and she, her parents passed away and they left her the mobile home. But they're very friendly. They're very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really hear anything. There's not much going on. It's very peaceful, which I love.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. But location-wise, you're like in the heart of the Silicon Valley. Across the street, there's an apartment complex where a 1-bedroom, 1-bath goes for about $3,500 a month, right? And across the street is a huge Samsung building. Google just bought a complex nearby there. What's it like being in the neighborhood? And do you feel like, what would the alternative have been if you were to try to live in that area without the mobile home situation?
It would have been a little rough, just because I don't like, and I never liked to live, I would call them the chicken coops, like apartments.
Yeah.
I feel like you could hear everybody, or whatever the person on the top, bottom, left is you can hear it. So I didn't like that. So the alternative would have probably been bought a house elsewhere out of San Jose at that time.
Yeah.
So I couldn't afford San Jose, but probably Sacramento or Modesto area.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, with apartments, you're kind of wall to wall. Also, you don't have your own parking space all the time. Exactly. It gets very difficult. And then also, you don't really get to, you don't really get to own anything or have anything at the end of it when it comes to that type of thing. But yeah, so owned and fixed up the mobile home. When did you start the restaurant? Was it also while you were? I think it was while you were remodeling the home. That's
right. So it was a very stressful time. My father has been in the restaurant industry, so he pushed me to open a restaurant during COVID, and I would tell him, this is going on. I'm gonna buy this mobile home. It'll pass. He's awesome, but it didn't pass. So it went on for a year, and it was tough, managing both. Of course, I didn't get to open the restaurant. I started everything in January, and I got to open it in March, I believe. So I think around that time, I was looking into the mobile homes, and I bought it, I think, in November is when we finalized. I'm not sure, but
cool.
I think so, yeah. So it was around the same time.
Okay.
Very challenging.
So what would you advise? I mean, what was it like, let's say someone else out there is living in a mobile home, they want to start a restaurant. What was it like for you, and what would you do differently?
At that time, I didn't know SBA loans existed, so I think I would have advised anybody to look at your resources first, because there is help out there.
Yeah.
And it's better to get the help before you start, rather than when you are in a hole. So, yeah.
Do you feel like it was all worth it going through it?
Of course, yeah. I take everything as a lesson, like a learning lesson. So I definitely learned a lot, in the past 4 years that, maybe I speak to a bunch of people, and when I have these conversations, I could already tell how ahead of the game I am. So, because of those challenges that I've been through, and I've learned so much and grew.
Oh, totally. And I think something about you too is you always have a positive perspective on life. And I feel like, and even when you go through hard times, you find something to be optimistic about, right? And I think that's something that's part of what's grown you, right? So you went from one location. Did you move twice, or to a new location? Because the location that I went to recently is much bigger, much more poppin' and busier. And what got you to that location?
So what got me to that location? So, when I got that suite. Remember when COVID, when the outdoor dining started?
Yes.
So when the outdoor dining started, that's when it started to be good. Coming October, I was running out of funds, and I was like, this is it. I can't make it, I can't do it, take the loss. But everything started to change as soon as I put tables outside and started sending it out the door and saying, hey guys, come and try my restaurant. I'm 29 years old. At that time, I was 25 years old, and I'm the owner, come check it out. People in Willow Glen are so welcoming. That's a really tight community.
It is.
So I really loved the community, and of course they started supporting me. So I started seeing that the sales, like I didn't have any more tables. I was having the line. My cook was complaining that the grill was not big enough. There was not enough space for preparation. So
better problems.
Yes, and at that time I remember Blue Water. Which is crazy because they actually ended up getting a suite right where my mobile park is, right next to it, that shopping center. And Blue Water had left the bigger restaurant. And I remember speaking to the landlord, and I was like, come on, like, can I move to that restaurant? And she would tell me, you're 25 years old, you don't know what you're doing, you need to start slow. But I insisted, right?
Yeah.
And so she said, because I had the lease for about 3 years more.
Uh-huh.
She said, if you can find somebody that buys this or takes care of your lease, I'll let you take over the bigger lease. So that's what I did. I found somebody that wanted to start their own business, and I sold it for a very low amount, obviously because I wanted to get rid of it and move to the other one. But I had a few more money left over. So what I did is I just invested in buying the hard liquor license for the other place. And I remember me, my parents, we were up all night fixing this new restaurant. It was left with pretty much everything, Blue Water, the hood. So that's one of the most expensive things in a restaurant to take in consideration.
The liquor license?
The liquor license and the installation of a hood.
Gotcha.
So that was...
What's a hood?
A hood is where you cook. So you got the grill.
I see.
And then it needs to suck up all the...
Got it.
So that's could get really expensive. So that was already there.
Yeah.
It had a walk-in freezer, a walk-in refrigerator. So it was awesome. I instantly just saw money, right?
Yes.
I can make it here. And of course, with the hard liquor license, that's where the money is going to be at. And so that's what I did. It took me about 2-3 months to get that place up and running. And while that was in the process, I had to close down the other restaurant. The other people were working on their ideas, but the landlord decided, go for it and good luck. And
nice.
So I got it.
How cool. That's amazing. And, for those, what do you feel like really made you, you're young, and what makes you different than others? Or what do you feel like made the difference? Because while others might go regular path, college, that sort of thing, why do you feel like you think differently and decided to venture and start a business? I'm sure it must be part your dad and that sort of thing, or what do you feel like it was?
Definitely my parents' support. I know that, back then I was a very shy person. You wouldn't be able to get me on this. Even if you tried, I was a very shy.
I'm still shocked. No.
I was a very shy person. So when I was in high school, there was this program that I got selected to go in out of my whole sophomore class. It was only 3 people, and I was the only girl. It was 2 guys and 1 girl. And this program was called Summer Search. So they really helped me with my leadership skills. And when I was 16 and I hopped on a plane for the first time, went to Pennsylvania to this camp. It was about 200 acres, which was awesome. And I was away from my family for the first time. And that's when I realized, like, hey, you're not always going to be with your mom and dad. You got to do something of your own. And I think that's when I started to see how different I was from the rest of the people, just because I, would walk somewhere and I could feel people's vibe and make, if the room was feeling a little bit dull, I would brighten it up,
Yeah.
And then when I was 17, I started doing sales, and then I would see the difference between I and other people.
What type of sales were you doing?
I was doing insurance sales. I was working for
cool.
Freeway and Costellez, and I was actually one of their top sellers in California at that time.
Fascinating.
So it was awesome. And of course, every time I did a sale, I would feel something inside my body, and I'd be like, what is this? Like, why am I getting this rush?
Yeah.
So it was, my dad's like, that's what you were born to do. Let's focus on that. Of course, he's always been a grinder, a hustler. So, and then he encourages me, I have other siblings, but I think we all took different paths, and I think I'm the one that wanted to continue my dad's business. You know, my older sister, she works with me actually. She helps me a lot with social media and whatnot. And then it's me. And then I have twin sisters. One of them is graduated from Air Force. The other one is a pilot. And then my younger brother, which is the baby, he's at home and he's figuring out himself right now.
Got it. How cool. So that's awesome. And what's interesting is like with sales, it has a bad reputation sometimes, but I think what's beautiful about sales, it's so important. The key is like, how do you help communicate? It's really all communication, right? And when you give that tool of communication to really genuinely good people, it's a very positive thing. And I think that's something that's within you too. It's like, hey, you have that grit. How do you learn to approach the landlord and say, hey, I want that bigger location. This is why, and you also were resourceful enough to figure out those puzzle pieces to get it together. Mm-hmm. That's a fear, even though sometimes externally you might seem shy, but that's a big fear to overcome, right? And, for a lot of people, that's something they would never do in their life, right? And now you have this great restaurant that does really well. And, I took one of our very important investors over there. They loved it, and the vibe and everything. And I can see it within there. Tell us about the restaurant. What's it called? What do you guys serve? Why do people love it?
So currently I'm running an establishment. It's Mimosas of Boulevard.
Yes.
And it's a restaurant / sports bar. I'm working on the sports bar. But currently we sell breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and focus on drinks too. One of our specialties is our super mimosas. So nice. It's awesome. And it's a tough industry, but I'm getting there.
I love it. Yeah, and still growing. What's a super mimosa?
So super mimosa, we bought these big champagne glasses online, I think, and
it's like 3 feet tall.
Yes. So it's a large glass. Yes, super large glass. And I remember I mess around with my clients and be like, remember that one drink you said you'd have after COVID? This is the one. So what we do is we have several flavors. So one of my favorites is Pog, which is passion fruit, orange, and guava. And we put a bottle of champagne in there, and you share it with friends, or you can do solo.
Yeah. And then how about the food items? What are the popular food items?
One of my popular food items is definitely the chilaquiles. We do divorce style, which is funny. In Spanish we have huevos divorciados.
Yeah.
But I changed it up in English and I put divorced eggs. People find it hilarious. People find it hilarious, especially when they're going through something. I see a lot of girlfriends come in the restaurant and they're like, "Ooh, look, divorced eggs," So they'll make a joke out of it. And
that's hilarious.
Yeah, and so I started asking people when they would. Chilaquiles was the best seller, so I'd be like, "Do you want to try both? Do you want to try the divorced chilaquiles, half red, half green?"
Yeah.
So it's one of the top sellers, definitely the chilaquiles and the divorced eggs. I'm gonna say some of the classics too, like a pancake combo, French toast combo. Toast combo is really good.
I think I had the country fried steak. I believe did you have that? Was it chicken fried steak or maybe it was just a steak?
That one got better. I think you had the ribeye because
it was a ribeye.
At that time I was working on the recipe.
That's right. I liked it. I loved it. Yeah. And it's really a place where I don't know, I was just sitting there and observing and girls were having their brunch and just catching up on a Sunday or something like that. And just like with what you said, their vibe was just energetic. Your staff was hyping people up. Everyone's super friendly and kind, and I think that's way more important than sometimes the food even. I think the energy of that room was amazing, and people should definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Sure. Any advice that you would give to someone looking out there that might not be that might maybe need a better financial situation, that might be, Kim back then that wants to move out of parents' house? What would you give them advice on, financially? Was moving to a mobile home a good move? Or what would you give advice to the general public out there, I guess, too.
Definitely a good move. Especially, if you can't afford a home just yet, I'd say mobile homes is the way to go. A lot of people, I don't even know. I think you're the one that told me what people think about mobile homes, and I found it crazy. I'm like, yeah, a home is a home.
Yeah.
A home is a home, and it's what you make it. So mobile home, it's comfortable. You get all the amenities. Like you said, you got the clubhouse, you got the basketball court, you got the swimming pool, and it's in a private area. So it's definitely the way to go. Take the risk. Whatever it is, just take it. It'll be worth it.
Totally. And what I did mention is that there's a large population that feel like this is a bad stigma because of movies and that sort of thing, right? But what I love about this community of people that live in these parks are, hey, everyone here is such a humble individual. They're not flashy or whatever. They're just here because this is home for them, and this is what gets them comfortable to live and survive in this area. And that's exactly, the people we want to support. These humble individuals that, make right decisions financially. Because the alternative is, hey, cool, you have a pretty looking apartment, but at the end of it, long term, where are you at now, right? And we want to share more stories like this because we want those that are thinking about, that are in that fork of the road. Should I rent? Should I move to Stockton just so I can chase that American dream? What would I lose then? But we want people to know that this is also an option, is to live in a mobile home that's in a great area, a great, great economics, great job opportunities, and that sort of thing. And they have an option to stay here and still have home ownership, right? So, I do want to ask again, because I love a lot of followers that are in the food space, but how about your best advice for in the food space? What's your top tip, you think?
Just be yourself, be authentic. A lot of people come to my restaurant and they're like, did you see, look at what this restaurant is doing, and surprisingly, before the restaurant, I really didn't go out much. I love being at home. I have a 11-year-old, and I had Charlie at the time, so they kept me busy. But be authentic, worry about yourself, create your own things, get together with your team, be a leader. Be in your restaurant or be in your business will make a difference. Having your group come together more of a family. I mean, they're together all day. You take care of them, they'll take care of you.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I've been focusing on with my team, and it was very scary because I want to call these TikTokers to come and to promote the restaurant, but how do you do it if you don't have the right team, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna get all these people in here, and then you're just gonna not make it, right? Because they're not gonna be happy.
Yeah.
So I found, I think, the perfect team right now, and I'm ready to start that chapter of like bringing in this TikTok influencers and see what goes from there. The people that I have, even when people come in my facility, it's kind of weird for them because, we help each other as servers. We're in the front, and, when you go to a restaurant, you have a designated server, and he's the one that helps you from start to end. We help each other. Yeah. So even if you need something, we'll get it for you. We don't say, hey, we'll go call him. No. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I am very strict about with my employees. Is you guys help each other. If the cook is busy and he needs help and you're slow, go and help him. What does he need? Give it to him. If the dishwasher needs help, you go and you jump in. Mm-hmm. So I call them crossovers. So when I hire, I tell them you're going to be a crossover. Whoever needs help, you're going to jump in.
Love that.
Because at the end, you do good and you'll receive good. Period. That's my way of.
That's key, and that's amazing. You're really being a leader by being that way, and you're not just teaching one job and role, but kind of how they can be resourceful on their own too. So that's awesome. So proud of you, Kim, and what you've done. And I didn't even realize how young you were, and that's amazing.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see your growth, and hopefully a lot of the people watching can support your restaurant too. Do you have a TikTok, or how can people follow you?
So Instagram right now, and Facebook is where I'm at.
Cool.
I will start the TikTok soon. It's, but give me about a month.
There you go. Well, thanks for being here, Kim, and excited for your growth.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.